It's definitely something that's easier said than done because in order to let God, I needed to let go of things that I didn't want to say goodbye to. And I've never been a person that's been good at goodbyes. Go and let God, I entered the transformation process. The transformation from the old me to the person that God wants me to be. One of the toughest things that I had to do this year was let go of the old version of myself. Now that I let God, I can let go of all my insecurities. Now that I let God, I can let go of What's going on, everybody? I'm Wisdom Morris, your speaker here at Wise Wednesday, where we focus on encouraging, motivating, and developing the mindset of those who feel like life has been beating them down. And today I want to talk about my experience of letting go and letting God. It's definitely something that's easier said than done because in order to let God, I needed to let go of things that I didn't want to say goodbye to. And I've never been a person that's been good at goodbyes. I needed to let go of my fear and replace it with faith. I needed to let go of my attachment to material things. And I needed to just let go and let God. My experience with letting go and letting God has taught me three impactful lessons that I want to share with you today in hopes that it encourages you to live a life led by God. The first lesson that I learned is that the longer it took for me to let go of the things that I needed to let go of, the longer it took me to get to the blessings that God had in store for me. I remember when I would find myself so frustrated with God when things didn't go how I planned, but then I noticed how I was my own enemy. I was the person that was getting in the way of reaching my blessings. It wasn't until I noticed where I was in the wrong by being upset with God because things didn't go how I planned that I noticed that things weren't going my way. Things weren't going well for me because I was holding on to my plan and not God's. The second lesson that I learned is that when I entered and when I started letting God just be God and letting go and let God, I entered the transformation process. The transformation from the old me to the person that God wants me to be. One of the toughest things that I had to do this year was let go of the old version of myself. I needed to let go of the decades of bad habits. I needed to let go of decades of ways of thinking. I needed to let go of the wisdom that didn't live a life led by God. All the work, all the time, all the energy that went into making this change happen was tough, but it made me a better person in the long run. This lesson taught me that sometimes God has got to break you down so he can build you back up. The final lesson that I learned is the most impactful. Is when I completely started letting go and letting God, I started living life on a different frequency. And I say completely letting go and letting God because saying letting go and letting God is one thing, but actually believing it is another. It wasn't until I believed that God was going to make it happen that he started to make it happen. God showed me that I needed to be put to the test. So this lesson was a lesson that tested my faith in God. A test that asked me, wisdom, are you going to trust that God is going to rebuild and restore all you lost this year? A test that asked me, wisdom, do you have faith in order to give God all your problems and just trust that he's going to let you get through? And I just remember when I fully surrendered. It was like after a time when I went through a season of just feeling overwhelmed. I was behind on my bills. I was hustling to make sure I had money for utilities, gas, food, all while making sure my business was staying afloat. And I just remember sitting there and just saying, God, I'm ready. I'm ready to go to the next level. I believe in you, God. I trust you. And that was when I let go and let God. And now that I let God, I can let go of all my insecurities. Now that I let God, I can let go of my fear and replace it with faith. And now that I let God, I can see that my my security and my what I believe in should be in God and not money. And I hope that my experiences of letting go encourages you to let God, and hopefully it gives you some strength to start fighting back at life. Have a great week.